African art is any form of art or material culture that originates from the continent of Africa. These include visual art and the musics of Africa. The arts and material culture of the African continent constitute one of the most diverse and innovative artistic legacies on the planet. Though many casual observers tend to generalize traditional African art, the continent is actually full of a multitude of peoples, societies, and civilizations, each with a unique visual culture. Despite this diversity, there does seem to be some unifying artistic themes when considering the totality of the visual culture of the African continent. These include formal innovation, visual abstraction, emphasis on sculpture, emphasis on performance art, and multiplicity of meanings. Unlike Western societies, where artworks tend to be produced according to strict canons of representation, many African societies encourage innovation and creativity of both style and form among their artists. This innovation and diversity can be seen not only across long expanses of time and geography, but also even from village to village. African artworks tend to favor visual abstraction over naturalistic representation. This is because many African artworks, regardless of medium, tend to represent objects or ideas rather than depict them. There are of course exceptions to this, most notably the portrait heads of the Yoruba city of Ile-Ife, as well as the ancient Egyptian artworks. African artists tend to favor three-dimensional artworks over two-dimensional works. Even many African paintings or cloth works were meant to be experienced three-dimensionally. House paintings are often seen as continuous designs wrapped around a house, forcing the viewer to walk around to experience it fully, while decorated cloths are worn as decorative or ceremonial garments, transforming the wearer into a living sculpture. African art tends to be used in performance contexts more than the static ones. Take the well-known example of African masks. Most societies in Africa have names for their masks, but this singular name incorporates not only the sculpture, but also the meaning of the mask, the dance associated with it, and the spirits that reside within. In African thought, the three cannot be differentiated, and it is important to consider this when studying African art of any form. African art tends to carry a multiplicity of meaning, a fact that can be very confusing to many Western observers. Those searching for a specific description of the meaning of a piece of African art will soon be endlessly confused by the multitude of uses, meanings, and social contexts that can be contained in a single artwork.
Welcome. This is Bon Appetit, a culinary adventure. All of them are quite different and unique, especially when it comes to native foods and cultural delicacies. Their food mainly depends on the ingredients that are produced in that particular area.
network service of the NDA.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire. Teacher lowo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher lowo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Born a better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We know happy at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, shall. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, that is why I talk with that now. Not for me.
You want me to die?
Not for me because of Pamio.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Life can be very eventful. We curiously expect things to happen, even when we don't know what. Our human nature makes us like and repost lots of information. Some are unverified, inciting anger and hate. Sometimes innocently, other times the urge to break it first. This, in most cases, has caused destruction in many nations.
Thanks for joining us on the program. On the program today, we shall be taking a look at the analytics of the speech of the 46th President of the United States of America, Joe Biden. We'll take his speech, then go to our team of guests. First will be Ambassador Usman Saki, who is the former Deputy Permanent Representative of Nigeria at the United Nations and currently a directing staff at the Nigerian Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. He shall be looking at his speech, what it makes. Also to look at the analytics is Professor Oshita, former Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution, and also currently the Executive Director of the Ubuntu Center for Africa Peace and Development. If time allows, we shall also take an analytics of the speech by Nigerians in the United States of America. That would be what the package looks like. But first, let's take a listen to an excerpt of the inaugural speech by President Joe Biden.
I've just taken the sacred oath each of those patriots have taken. The oath first sworn by George Washington. But the American story depends not on any one of us, not on some of us, but on all of us, on we the people who seek a more perfect union. This is a great nation. We are good people. And over the centuries, through storm and strife, in peace and in war, we've come so far. But we still have far to go. We'll press forward with speed and urgency, for we have much to do in this winter of peril and significant possibilities. Much to repair, much to restore, much to heal, much to build, and much to gain. Few people in our nation's history have been more challenged or found a time more challenging or difficult than the time we're in now. Once-in-a-century virus that silently stalks the country. It's taken as many lives in 1 year as America lost in all of World War II. Millions of jobs have been lost. Hundreds of thousands of businesses closed. A cry for racial justice, some 400 years in the making, moves us. The dream of justice for all will be deferred no longer. A cry for survival comes from the planet itself. A cry that can't be any more desperate or any more clear. And now, a rise of political extremism, white supremacy, domestic terrorism, that we must confront and we will defeat.
First on the analytics is Ambassador Usman Saki, former Deputy Permanent Representative of Nigeria at the United Nations. Quite inspiring. What do you make of the speech?
It's full of spiritual appeal to the soul of America. It is a down-to-earth, honest, transparent speech. President Joe Biden bared his soul to Americans and to the world. His sincerity, his openness, and his largeness of heart to accommodate everybody and not to exclude anyone. And it's interesting that he should quote St. Augustine, an African bishop of North African origin, rather than quoting Plato or Socrates or Cicero or de Tocqueville or Voltaire or any of the philosophers of the West. He chose to anchor his speech on the Bible and on the writings of one of the founding fathers of the church. And it is very important for us to capture this significance, because this is a man who cares for people, who has conviction of God.
I sign you all the excellencies. Yes. It began by saying democracy is precious,
yes.
Democracy is fragile,
yes.
But democracy has prevailed.
Exactly. Well, democracy has indeed prevailed with this election, and also Americans turning their back against division, chaos, and confusion. And I think that is the importance of what you earlier asked, whether institutions or individuals should prevail. I think combination of the two. Members of Congress, members of the executive, military leaders, civil servants, business people, everybody rallied around the Constitution and stressed the supremacy of the rule of law. And that is what we saw today. It was actually, like transiting from a gloomy scenario to a happier, brighter situation. And I think that is what it portends, not only, for the United States of America, but for the entire world in terms of the peaceful nature of the transition, despite the disruptions caused, I think last week or 10 days ago in the U.S. Capitol by supporters of Donald Trump, who went at his bidding, at his instigation, to roughen up people in the Congress and actually, to force their own narrative, to actually, insist that Donald Trump won. That was an undemocratic practice, totally alien to the United States. But happily, the institutions rallied around the Constitution and the rule of law and overcame that shock, to the system. And today we are seeing that normalcy has returned and the rightfully elected president and vice president are being sworn in. So it is something that we look forward to in terms of resilience of democracy in the United States, and also an example, for the rest of the world to imbibe from, to see that to establish strong institutions and to have committed people in institutions who will uphold the rule of law, constitutional rule, and the will of the people at all times. Yes.
Between individuals
yes.
and institutions, who determines national goals?
Well,
national interest?
Well, the national interest is established by governments, by each succeeding government. But there are certain constants that are given, taken for granted. In our own case, since 1960, October 7th, when Sir Bokar Tafawa Balewa, our first Prime Minister, enunciated Nigeria's foreign policy objectives and national interests, virtually it has remained constant. But alteration and flexibility has come in, whereby elastic situations have been created where each government will now focus on its own immediate priorities. So the changes occur when different personalities come into office, but institutions remain to determine and guide the implementation and continuity of the national interest. So both institutions and individuals matter in terms of reciprocal action to determine, first and foremost, the survival of the country, and then the continuation of the function of government.
I ask you this question
yes.
because given what happened the last few days,
yes.
what lesson for Africa regarding the incumbent
yes.
and the institutions and what the extant laws say?
Well, thank you very much. This is a very important question. I think we learn from history and we learn from reality always. And the reality today is that the supremacy of law must take precedence, must be the first consideration of every leader in Africa. And secondly, we should not undermine institutions through policies or through commission or omission. We should respect the integrity of institutions. And at the same time, when governments or leaders appoint people into institutions, they should do so based on certain criteria: merit, experience, knowledge, and also the integrity of the person being appointed, to respect rule of law, to respect constitutional provisions, and moreover to bring dynamism and focus and patriotic determination to office. And in that way, you find the marriage between individuals and institutions working in synchronization perfectly in the interest of the country.
Next for the analysis is Professor Oshita, former Director General of the Institute for Peace and Conflict Resolution and currently Executive Director of the Ubuntu Center for Peace for African Development. America has been tested. The American story depends on all.
Yeah, good, powerful statement by President Joe Biden. We can see from the speech he has just given that he's very ready to repair America. And he said it passionately in a way that, for some time now we have not heard from America. So I think it is only normal that we expect the best from Joe Biden, because actually America is broken as never before. And from this speech, the healing process has started, because he has said that he will be president for all, those who voted for him and those who did not vote for him. So it is important, to take those words as words from a statesman a man who is ready to really repair the soul of America. And we look forward to what he will be doing from day one.
I'll take you on other perspectives. Let's quickly go to Dr. Kazim, who is joining us via Zoom. Dr. Kazim, you heard the speech, and everything about is about the way forward for America. And basically, let's talk about his emphasis on inequity, systemic racism. He has given the assurance that he will drive this. How do you react to this?
Thank you so much for having me. So one of the major campaign agenda of the President-elect Joe Biden is the notion of inclusivity in government. And even before he was sworn in today, we've actually seen in the cabinet, because the moment he was declared the winner of the election, they set up the transition team, the office of the president-elect, and he started appointing people into his cabinet. And what we've seen so far is his cabinet seems to be one of the most diverse cabinets in American politics. I mean, he actually brought people from different race, the South Asians, the Native Americans, the African Americans, as well as Africans, or as well as Black Americans of Africa, or who migrate, of African immigrants. So, for example, we have people like Adewale Adeyemo, that's Wale Adeyemo of the Obama Foundation, who is currently the Deputy Treasury Secretary. And we also have other immigrants as well, who were actually selected to be part of his cabinet. So one thing we've seen so far is Biden is not just saying, he's not just speaking, he's also putting his words into action as well. And I think this notion of inclusivity is something that unfortunately has actually been missing in the past 4 years of President Trump's presidency. I mean, his presidency was to a large extent actually less inclusive in terms of convergence of multiple, or in terms of convergence of different races. But for President Biden, I think this notion of inclusivity will go a long way in providing antidotes to the anomaly of systemic racism in America. It might also go a long extent as well in providing antidote to the scourge of white supremacy, which is currently plaguing the American society.
Dr. Kazim, it was nice sharing your thoughts with us. Thank you so much for being on the program.
Thank you for having me.
I'm back here in Abuja. Prof, basically, you are a peace and conflict resolution advocate. And you have always sustained one position that conflict resolution is evolving. It's not static. Yeah. And it's the painstaking thing. For what the president has said, is it reassuring? Does it give hope to the Americans themselves, hope to the world, the need for people to now believe back on the American ideals?
Absolutely. From the speech, the world is being invited to trust America once more. And also, Americans are being invited to have faith in their country. You know, and he talks about neighbors. Americans should see each other as neighbors. You understand? And he talks about, you know, accept the other, accept people who do not look like you. You know, he's trying to reconstruct, because his predecessor has deconstructed a lot of what, you know, used to be what we knew about America. He deconstructed a lot of that. So the assignment that President Biden has from today, from his speech, is to reconstruct, give back hope to those who were losing hope in America. For example, you know, look at what is happening at the border with Mexico. You know, people are going back to America because they see the country as welcoming once more. They can't wait. And so it is with people who are in their various countries, who have different things to go and do in America. In fact, throughout the 4 years of President Trump's presidency, many people had just told themselves they won't go to America for anything, because it was like there was no dignity in going into America. Yeah, because even the body language, the conversation that you find President Trump making simply says that, look, you are not welcome here. And we are in a multilateral world. You understand? So if things are like that in America, that is the foundation of democracy. Absolutely. So it wasn't good these last 4 years. So we look for fresh air. We see that there's fresh air, yes, in the air, even before he took his oath a few minutes ago.
Okay, yeah. I'll come back to you. Let's quickly go back to Dr. Baba Adams, who has been waiting via Skype. Dr. Baba Adams is one of the highest ranking Nigerian born in the United States, one-time Dean, Associate Vice President, and Vice President at the several universities and colleges in the United States of America. How do you feel about today?
Thank you for having me. Can you hear me, sir?
We can hear you. Go ahead. How do you feel about today?
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you for having me. It's a great day for democracy in America. President Joe Biden is just sworn in. As they say, thank God it all ended well with the former President Trump. We are elated and excited. This ushers in a wonderful possibility of bilateral relationship with Nigeria, and as a matter of fact with the whole African continent. So we are pretty excited about this. President Biden have already reached out to us directly, and we have communicated that to Abuja.
Okay, in a couple of minutes after this inaugurals, the president will proceed to the White House, and he will sign a couple of executive orders. Already has done some. One of it is the issue of reversing the position of America regarding climate change. So, what are you prospecting?
Well, there are many executive orders in the first day plus the next 100 days. But some of those are the Paris Accord of Climate Change, which former President Trump withdrew. Today, President Biden is going to reinstate at least commitment to going back. He has selected the former U.S. Secretary of State Kerry as a special envoy on climate, so that will be reinstated today. In addition to that, there is about more than 50 or so executive orders during the former President Trump administration, which will be reversed, all of them possibly today or within the next 100 days. The one which is of special interest to Nigeria is putting the visa ban on Nigerian immigrants, which we have clearly communicated with the Biden administration is xenophobic and is unacceptable, and we are looking forward that to be reversed.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Back to Professor Prof. Well, you ask, when you look at it today, besides the fact that the 46th President of the United States has been sworn in, the Vice President, first 49th Vice President, first black lady, and highest woman to serve in the highest position in the American government. Looking at it from the way it is going, during Obama, and now Africa is somewhere in the corner. What do you think stands for Africa in this new government? Well, before we come down to Nigeria.
Yeah. This is the spirit of inclusivity. You understand? America is a highly diverse, nation. So that Obama, an African American, became president, and now we have a vice president who is a woman, of African Caribbean descent, is also, a sign that, especially the Democrats are more inclusive than the Republicans, because that is what it shows from the way things have been going in the country, in the politics. So it means that we look forward to, more opening up, more inclusivity and more, the diversity that recognizes non-white populations. And that is a good thing, because America would never have been a country if it was not as diverse as it is.
Okay, the United Nations was worried when they launched the Alliance for Poverty Eradication in the World, given the position of the former president. Now that this one appears very friendly, do you see that alliance working perfectly?
That alliance and many other things that have not worked well will begin to work, properly. The gentleman ambassador just spoke about denial of visas, to Nigerian immigrants. But you know that the whole world, America saying that climate change was not an important issue was such a terrible setback, for progress, for development. You understand? And there are other things. If you are not from certain countries, you cannot come into America. That's also very backward. As I said before, we are in a multilateral world. But where the last regime in the US under Trump put us was as if there was no recognition that, that we are in a world that is moving together. Consider the issue of the World Trade Organization leadership. Things don't work like that. I believe that what the former regime under President Trump did was, to forget that we are in a world that should be moving together, and then took us back to when we had the Cold War, because the style was an old style, as if we were in the Cold War. Look at the battle with China. These are preventable battles. Look at the issue of Iran nuclear deal. The world needs peace, and you can't have peace unless you discuss. Okay. You understand?
Okay, so let's go to Dr. Dr. Adams. I believe you're still there. You can hear me. Quickly, okay, the signals have dropped. Now, let's proceed now. You have scratched the World Trade Organization briefly.
Yes.
Would this in any way, given the former stance, reverse what was not supposed to happen and happen the way it should happen?
Well, I believe that there are quite a number of things that global leaders will take a second look. Because we have been through 4 years of American leadership that were not predictable at all, and that were not on the path that the world, thought that we will be moving. You understand? America could have acted like a bully under the Cold War era, but not, in the post-Cold War era, where we are not just talking about multilateralism, but we also have decentralized power. You cannot ignore China. You cannot ignore some other country. You can't even ignore Iran. So if you, as the president of the most powerful nation in the world, you take individual battles with this. You're disorganizing the
That also led me
world.
to ask this. Let me also ask you differently. With what happened in the United States of America, what lesson for Africa, African leaders, African institutions? Now the question is, who determines national interest? Is it an individual or institutions?
No, that is a big lesson that we all must learn. If it wasn't for the resilience of American institutions, today would not have been there. Joe Biden would not have been president. You understand? So that again tells us that we must empower our institutions. You understand? So I believe that this is a big lesson. When we fail to build institutions, when we fail to give institutions their own lives, then we are heading in a way that we cannot have a sustainable, development. We can't have sustainable development in the context of individuals being, because what Trump was doing was to take the power of institutions.
Well, that's the size of the package today on the program. We told you at the beginning, today we take a focus at the analysis of the inaugural speech by President Joe Biden, the 46th President of the United States of America. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
You're welcome to another edition of the Power Circuit program, proudly brought to you by the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN. The power utility company keeps you informed about the transformational activities and its role of managing the national electricity grid. Here are the headlines in today's edition. First is a spotlight on the Minister of Power's quest for access to renewable energy. TCN to build second National Control Center in Abuja. The company has also begun the year with massive transmission line expansion works. In the interview segment, the regional transmission manager of the Osogbo region in Osun State, Engineer Bakari Kazim, gives an update of key milestones within the region in the past 3 months, especially as the region is a hub for power transmission between the north and south. I am Amara Agugoisi, anchoring this half-hour program. Although the federal government of Nigeria has focused more on expanding the national grid, it has not lost focus on ensuring that it promotes access to renewable energy for Nigerians who are unserved, especially the rural areas. It is on this note that the Minister of Power, Engineer Salim Maman, made giant strides in the renewable subsector as he commissioned various solar power projects in Adamawa and Kano states recently. Our reporter brings you more of these reports.
Through the Vision 30-30-30 electricity milestone, the federal government is targeting the delivery of 30,000 megawatts of electricity by 2030, with 30% of that coming from renewable energy sources. Demonstrating this commitment, the Minister of Power, Engineer Salim Mamman, along with the Adamawa State Governor, Amadou Fintiri, commissioned 740 kilowatts solar Nigeria projects in some local government areas of the state. In his address, Engineer Mamman said at least more than 14 new mini-grid projects have been commissioned across the country, providing reliable power supply to over 40,000 people in off-grid areas. These projects are mostly delivered through public-private partnership, confirming the confidence in the private sector. The 8 Adamawa solar power projects which the minister commissioned were executed across primary healthcare centers and hospitals in the 7 local government areas. They were conceived under a technical assistance grant by the European Union, implemented by the Department for International Development, DFID, and supervised by the Ministry of Power. The minister also charged the Adamawa State government to scale up these pilot solar projects and ensure its sustainability. In his remarks, Governor Fintiri thanked the federal government and its partners for the support, saying the projects are highly beneficial to his people. The minister had also commissioned several similar projects in Kano in the company of Governor Abdullahi Ganduje of Kano State. The project, which were also replicated across other local government areas and funded through the same process with supervision by the Federal Ministry of Power. Commenting, Engineer Mamman said the government was grateful to the European Union and their implementation partners who collaborated with the ministry to design and develop these projects to provide reliable electricity supply to improve Nigerian lives through healthcare, education, potable water, and job creation. 6 of the projects were commissioned at primary healthcare centers, while the other 6 were commissioned for primary and secondary schools. Speaking on the expectation for more of these landmark projects this year, the minister in an interview said the federal government is poised to deliver more power supply facilities which will be commissioned to improve the power supply delivery to Nigerians.
More, of course, yes, we're expecting more. We have the one of recent, I've just come back from the south. Yeah, I've seen, it's a project that has been abandoned some 10 years, some even 20 years. It's just to energize. So I want to assure Nigerians that we're going to award that work that will now evacuate the supply that is in the south and into the national grid. Yeah, we're expecting more commissioning any time, any moment. Even right now, I'm going to commission some of the projects before the end of this tenure through renewable energy.
The Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, is set to build the second National Control Center in Abuja to complement the existing center in Osogbo in Osun State. Our correspondent tells this story.
The management of TCN, led by the Acting Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer, Engineer Sule Ahmed Abdulaziz, was at the proposed site for the construction of the second National Control Center, NCC, in Gwagwalada Town in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, for on-the-spot assessments of the possible location of the project. The management of TCN said the new project was to create redundancy and in anticipation of further expansion of the national electricity grid and the power sector in general. Speaking at the site, which already houses the 330, 132, 33 kilovolts Gwagwalada transmission substation, Engineer Abdulaziz said the assessment was a critical step towards commencing the project. Our purpose here is to check and see where we can locate a suitable place for the construction of a new second national control center after Osogbo, said Engineer Abdulaziz. Engineer Abdulaziz said the Civil Engineering Department of TCN will take a critical assessment of the site in more details and report back to the management for a final decision. He further disclosed that the contract for the execution of the project will soon be signed as the Bureau for Public Procurement (BPP) has issued a certificate of no objection to TCN for the commencement of work. According to him, the project, which is going to be a state-of-the-art facility, would have functional supervisory control and data acquisition (SCADA), an energy management system (EMS), and modern communication equipment compatibility with international standards. The acting managing director of the company also said the Gwagwalada project scheduled to be completed within 18 months and will complement the existing NCC Osogbo to bridge any fault without effects in the power transmission system.
The power circuit continues after this break. Don't go away.
Did you know that our high-tension transmission cables were built to withstand high temperatures except artificially induced ones such as fire? Did you know that burning bush or refuse dumps by TCN transmission tower base or along the transmission line's right-of-way is an offense? Did you know that the fire can cause high-tension transmission lines to snap and fall to the ground, electrocuting living things within the line radius? Did you know that extreme fire can cause the legs of transmission towers to buckle, and that buckling of the main frame of a tower would lead to its collapse and may even pull down other towers along that transmission line's route, causing untold damage to the line? Now that you know, yes, now that you know, TCN is calling on all citizens of Nigeria to please desist from destroying our collective national investment. Be careful. Do not set fire on trash or burn bush beside transmission towers or under electricity lines nationwide. Help us preserve the transmission grid and save the nation from blackout. TCN, transmitting electricity in the most efficient and effective manner.
In pursuit of its transmission rehabilitation and expansion drive, the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, has begun this year by continuing the re-expansion on the 330 kV bringing KB to Sokoto transmission line. TCN will also start enhancement works on the 330 kV Ugwaji to Makurdi transmission line and the 132-33 kV Ugwaji transmission substation in Enugu State.
The bringing Kebbi to Sokoto transmission line work had begun in December 2020 and has continued this year, with the company starting on a good note, especially after the power sector recorded 2 all-time peak power on the national grid so far this year. TCN said the restringing of the bringing Kebbi to Sokoto line has continued since January 12, 2021 and is expected to be completed by February 2021. As part of its strong commitment to safety of lives and property, TCN has collaborated with Kaduna Electric to ensure the power transmission line is not energized between 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily during the period of the expansion work. Attesting to the importance of these expansion projects, Kaduna Electric in a statement said this will enable the Transmission Company of Nigeria, TCN, to increase bulk power transmission to Kaduna Electric for onward distribution to the states. It further said the line reconductory work would also rectify the low voltage and consequent poor power situation and enable customers to enjoy more stable and quality power supply. For the multiple works on the transmission lines in Enugu State, TCN said the SSI will begin on January 25, 2021 and will be completed on February 25, 2021. For safety reasons, the company will ensure the lines are not energized between 8 a.m. and 6 p.m. daily, after which normal power supply will be restored daily to all areas. This is to enable TCN to construct one-cycle transposition along the above-mentioned lines. No load will be interrupted during the period as the 330 kV Ugwaji transmission substation will be fed from the 330 kV transmission substations in Ikotekpene in Akwa Ibom State and New Haven in Enugu. The 330 kV Apil transmission substation in Benue State will be fed from the 330 kV Jos transmission substation.
You are on to the interview segment of this program. Today's interview personality is the Regional Transmission Manager of the Osogbo region of TCN in Osun State, Engineer Bakari Kazim. Engineer Kazim will be giving updates about the key milestones that the region has attained in terms of projects and operations within the past 3 months, especially as the region is a critical hub for power transmission between the north and south while controlling the national electricity grid.
My name is Engineer Bakari Kazim, the Acting General Manager, Osogbo Region. Osogbo Region covers about 4 states. We have Ondo, Osun, Oyo, and part of Kogi states.
What are the milestone achievements in bulk power transmission capacity in the region in recent time?
Within the last 3 months, we made a tremendous impact in this region. Before now, we have 1290 megawatts installed capacity. Although that installed capacity has not improved or increased within the last 3 months. However, we are able to deploy one of our 150 MVA and load it appreciably. As the system in most of the TCN stations is that we have an N+1 configuration, which means that if one equipment goes off, we should be able to still supply. I would like to recall that sometimes in February we lost one of our 150 MVA during the early stage of COVID. However, we were not able to deploy the redundant transformer immediately because of the pressure of the pandemic. However, I want to say that we have not only deployed it, it has been loaded appreciably to about 60 megawatts. This, of course, will mitigate against the effects of the transformer we lost. Recall also the other time that I told you that we also imported capacity, about 30 megawatts also from our Oshobo region to also mitigate the effects in Ibadan. We also imported also another 35 megawatts from the Lagos axis to mitigate against the effects of the burning.
In terms of operations and maintenance, how would you describe the efforts in the region?
One of the very unique things about the Transmission Company of Nigeria is our robust maintenance culture. It's not only robust, we are very, very committed to it because they form part of our key performance indicator. However, this year we are about to complete the scheduled annual maintenance for this year. The consolidated schedule also for next year is already out, and we're also preparing to take the maintenance of next year. But one of the major issues we have with maintenance is that we have to balance making sure that our maintenance are carried out as scheduled with supplying power to the discos. That balance is very, very essential, and all this is contingent upon the health of the grid. Whatever the situation is, if our maintenance cannot take place at the right time, we'll reschedule it and we'll make sure it is done.
What are the challenges officials in the region face so far?
One of the major challenges that is affecting us in the region is that of coping with the issue of wayleave, the issue of getting a land for building the substation, and that of miners, especially in Osun State. Wayleave has been a major problem. Our station in Akure has been completed. A 2x150 MVA 132/33 kV substation. It is fully completed. But because of wayleave, it has been very, very impossible to get the lines to this place. We have wayleave issue in 2 places in Ondo. We have at Ilara Monkey, we have at Igbaroke, and we also have wayleave issue also in Osun State at Ilo. These issues are affecting us. If Akure substation comes in, one of the immediate benefits is that we will supply sufficient power to Ekiti. We will supply sufficient power to Akure and environment. And we'll also be able to release another 60 megawatts that will be utilized in Oshobo. I want to say that that station is critical to stabilizing power supply in Southwest. And it is important that everyone that is involved in the issue of sorting out this wayleave issue should please assist us as much as possible so that this wayleave issue can become a thing of the past. Another issue that we face is that of after a land is given to us, either a group of people will go to court to contest the land that has been given to us. Some of these issues are really working against our performance. So we look forward to a situation where these things will be addressed. I also want to appreciate some of the states that are coming up now to package something that is very unique to provide substation land. Oyo State is taking the lead now, and we hope that other states will follow suit too. They are providing lands for substation ahead. They are trying to make available the right of way ahead of time, so that if the project eventually comes into their state, there won't be any issue of litigation or wailing problem or issues with the local. We look forward to having such a situation where we can, deliver to the nation without anybody stopping our people from doing their job.
Talking about occupational health and safety indices, how safe is the Osogbo region?
We work in a place where we will not take lightly the issue of safety. We provide our engineers with all that they need to do their job. Aside from providing it, we also have our safety officers that ensure and enforce the use of our personal protective equipment. We also provide all that is required as per the COVID issues for our staffs to make sure that they work in an environment that is safe. As for safety is one of the things that we don't play with in TCN.
What are the statuses of ongoing projects in the region, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic?
The COVID-19 pandemic actually slowed down the pace of work. And as you are aware, in most of the countries abroad where we get some of our equipment, most of them are yet to start working fully. Despite that, we are still forging ahead. These days, we do our FAT even online. And we are not going to allow anything to stop us from doing our job. So we'll continually do our job. And though COVID is having some impact, but we will definitely get around it to get supply to the nation.
Do you have any message for miners who pose a threat to power transmission lines in the region?
I'd like to appeal to those who are mining either gold or sand around or along our right of way to please respect our ROW. We will want a situation where they will not damage our counterparts again, a situation where they will not threaten our towers with erosion, because this issue is actually getting out of hand, and we need to curb it urgently.
That was the acting regional transmission manager of the Osogbo region of TCN, Engineer Bakari Kazim. The regional head spoke about the key milestones in the region in recent time. Always keep a date with us for more informative interviews about the activities of TCN. As we sign out on this episode, let's take a look at the stories again. We brought you a spotlight on the Minister of Power and his quest for access for renewable energy. You heard that TCN has begun an intense move to build a second National Control Center in Abuja. The company has also begun the year with massive transmission line expansion works. And in the interview segment, the regional transmission manager of the Osogbo region in Osun State, Engineer Bakari Kazim, gave an update on the key milestones the region attained in recent time. We're glad you always stay with us on the Power Circuit program. You can view this episode and others on TCN YouTube channel. Please interact with us on these platforms because TCN needs your support to advance its mandate. The second wave of the coronavirus is on. Ensure you stay safe. Keep observing the safety protocols of non-pharmaceutical interventions like wearing a mask, washing or sanitizing your hands, and keeping physical distance as directed by the Nigerian Center for Disease Control, NCDC. I am Amara Agugoisi. Thank you for staying with us.
Experience unlimited super-fast internet access from Entel 4G. Entel. Live more.
"24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You can watch NTA International live on your TV, computer, iPad, tablet and phone. Log on to visiontv.co.uk and click on Entertainment, then NTAI. You can also download the iOS or Android app on your mobile devices to watch NTA International on the go, anywhere in the world. NTA International, your window to the world.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
Hello and thanks for tuning in to Weekend File on the NTA Network Service. We are live in Abuja. Nigeria is waiting for the COVID-19 vaccine just like most nations in the world, particularly the developing countries. This followed the funding from the African Union in view of the huge cost involved in procuring the vaccine. Already, certain preparations are needed to acquire the vaccine. First is the issue of storage, as the vaccine must be stored under a controlled temperature. Secondly, the rolling out of the COVID-19 vaccine in Nigeria and across the world requires the engagement of more health workers for successful implementation. Already, President Muhammadu Buhari has released funds for the storage facilities, and as we speak, some of the necessary facilities have been acquired, waiting for the delivery of the vaccine from abroad. The challenge now is that there are inadequate COVID-19 vaccine across the world, of which the United States of America is a typical example. The target to cover 100 million people in 100 days, as envisaged by the U.S. government, may not be feasible due to inadequacy of the vaccine. Nigeria must recognize this experience and see how supply and availability do not affect her COVID-19 vaccine implementation. But more worrisome is the issue of public confidence at stage of vaccination. More robust and effective strategy is needed to enable Nigerians buy into COVID-19 vaccination to avoid the level of public doubt that trailed the polio immunization in the country, if you will recall, where the royal fathers had to be involved to enable the program take place. Every stakeholder in Nigeria, especially Nigerian scientists, must join efforts with government and the media to drum support to enable the public buy into the project for a successful implementation. Without such support, government's huge funding and commitment to save and protect her citizens from the COVID-19 pandemic could lead to an exercise in futility. So the conversation continues tonight on Weekend File as we reflect on the COVID-19 vaccine, Nigeria's preparedness. Updates on the issue will come from our various zones. Because of the importance of this subject matter, we are going to be having two guests to look at all sides of the issues. Dr. Faisal Shuaib, the Executive Director, Chief Executive Officer, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, and Dr. John Tor Abwidie, Executive Director, Integrative Medicine, are our guests tonight. I am Kenen Ima Aburike. Now the news. Member nations of the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, have been challenged to not only prioritize the acquisition of COVID-19 vaccines for their citizens, but also take appropriate measures towards developing their own vaccine so as to build herd immunity against the pandemic. President Muhammadu Buhari, who threw the challenge in his virtual address to the 58th summit of the ECOWAS leaders, ordered the release of $20 million in fulfillment of Nigeria's pledge to efforts at containing terrorism and violent extremism in the sub-region. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has the details.
The virtual summit was convened by ECOWAS chairman and president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, to deliberate on the political, economic, social, and other issues affecting the West African sub-region. For President Muhammadu Buhari, whose speech was read by Foreign Affairs Minister Geoffrey Onyama, the recent upsurge accompanying the second wave of the coronavirus pandemic is the greatest threat to the health of humanity, hence the need for West African leaders to brace up for the challenges that lie ahead.
We urge the ECOWAS Commission to work through WAHO, the West African Health Organization, to assist member states in acquiring the vaccines and provide facilities to store and distribute the vaccines within the region. It is important for the region to evolve effective measures and avoid total lockdown at this critical time that our economies are gradually recovering from the first wave of the pandemic.
on terrorism and violent extremism that continue to pose serious concerns to the sub-region and individual member states, the President called for urgent implementation of the regional action plan towards addressing the challenges more effectively.
We have already directed the immediate remittance of the sum of $20 million pledged by Nigeria to the pool account of the ECOWAS Action Plan to Fight Terrorism, while the sum of $80 million is to be disbursed for the fight against terrorism in the northeast and banditry in the northwest of Nigeria for the year 2020.
President Buhari also made a strong case for a lean and compact leadership in ECOWAS to not only save costs but also enhance efficiency and performance, insisting that there is no basis for the organization to have 13 commissioners and 10 other statutory appointees, while the African Union, a larger continental body, maintains only 6 commissioners.
However, some countries are not in favor of this. Then each country must sponsor its own statutory appointee. It is time for us to be taking the right and bold decisions to enhance the performance of the organization and effectively serve the citizens of our community to consolidate our prime position as the best sub-regional organization on the African continent.
Meanwhile, in a 50-point communique issued at the end of the summit, the ECOWAS leaders noted the deterioration in macroeconomic convergence situation in 2020 and therefore grant member states a waiver with regard to meeting the criteria in 2021. Consequently, drafts on the new Convergence and Macroeconomic Stability Pact is to be submitted at the next summit for consideration, with the 1st of January 2022 as start date, as well as the new roadmap for the ECOWAS Single Currency Program, with 2025 as target date for the launch of the ECO. The summit also called on member states that are yet to ratify the African Continental Free Trade Area Agreement to accelerate the process towards promoting harmonious trade liberalization in the region and maintain the integrity of the ECOWAS Common External Tariff. Meanwhile, the leaders reaffirmed their commitment to the promotion of peace, security, and stability as prerequisites for economic integration and development of the region. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Troops of Operation Turatekai Bango, a subsidiary of Operation Lafia Dole in the northeast, eliminates elements of Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa province ISWAP criminals in the zone. A statement by the Acting Director of Defense Media Operations, Brigadier General Bernard Oyeuko, indicates that the latest encounter occurred on the 20th of January 2021 at Abagajiri in Damboa local government area of Borno State, where the troops encircled some Boko Haram criminal enclaves, eliminating 5 terrorists while others escaped with bullet wounds. Several heavy arms were captured, while an improvised explosive device, IED making equipment, and the criminals' camp destroyed. As part of efforts to curtail the contemporary threats to security in the country, the Nigerian Air Force has trained and graduated 676 officers and men into its force protection. Haruna Mohammed reports.
With the permission of the Air Chief, Commandant Regiment Training Center Kaduna Group Captain Daniel Musa Komo welcomed the graduates into the Red Badges, home of bulwarks. Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Bababakar says the Nigerian Air Force will continue to reinvigorate the capacity of personnel in line with the changing security environment and adopt processes to reflect the broad range of security requirements.
We have also expanded the structure of the Air Force so that we have sufficient presence everywhere. And those that are in these new structures are mainly regiment personnel.
The regiment officers are equipped with air and ground knowledge that will enable them respond to contemporary security challenges. In Kaduna, Haruna Mohammed, NTA News.
And still talking security matters, about 4 persons have lost their lives and property destroyed following a communal clash between Eza Effium and Effium communities in Ohuku Council area of Ebonyi State. Commissioner of Police Ebonyi State Aliyu Garba disclosed this to newsmen at the command's headquarters in Abakaliki. Chinaza John was there.
Apart from cultism, communal clashes have become a major security challenge in Ebonyi State. The recent being the crisis that allegedly erupted following a leadership tussle between the people of Eza Effium and Effium communities who are members of National Union of Road Transport Workers Effium branch over who becomes the chairman of the union.
Started from NURT union matter, where the old executive council was dissolved and a new caretaker was put in place. Argument ensued among the old and the new. From there was assault and counter-assault. Before you know, sympathizers from the secretary's side, the former secretary of the union, came in by way of rescue or assistance, and the matter escalated into a tribal conflict.
Somebody who was imposed as the National Union chairman, who was never a member of the National Union, who incidentally comes from my own part of the community, Eza, they call him Unkwa, attacked an Effium man. That after the attack, he fled the town. And the people of Effium felt that it was a consensus from we, the Ezas. They burnt so many things, including my own house and my filling station and that of my younger brother. So it was something, as I'm talking to you, I don't even know where my parents are.
The police commissioner further revealed that persons have been arrested in connection with the matter and investigation commenced with measures put in place to forestall reoccurrence of the incident. He called for calm, stressing that normalcy has returned to the area. In Abakaliki, Chinaza John, NTA News.
Now to politics, where the All Progressives Congress APC says all is set to make the forthcoming re-registration and the revalidation exercise seamless and conform with COVID-19 guidelines. Governor of Kogi State and Chairman of Mobilization and Sensitization Committee of the party, Yahya Bello, reaffirmed this during a strategic meeting with party leaders in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara reports.
In about 48 hours, the rebuilding process of the All Progressives Congress through re-registration of old and new members is expected to commence across the country. In line with the demand of the party's leader, President Muhammadu Buhari, the exercise will be a bottom-top approach. This necessitated the strategic engagement with all APC state caretaker chairmen, where guidelines for the exercise were made clear.
You cannot claim to be strong or even to be in power or in authority today if your membership or your base is not big and robust enough. So as chairman of our great party, how much were you able to convince them to join APC? That is your strength.
The chairman of the Mobilization and Sensitization Committee added that subcommittees at wards, local government, state and zonal levels will be inaugurated to fast-track the exercise. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Gwanara, NTA News.
Let's now tell you that the School Age Information Technology app is introducing a one-stop shop for educational research that allows students to do self-assessment in their preparation for examinations, enabling them to receive scores through the app. A statement by Samuel Daniel for the school describes the platform as a stimulation software that provides national and international educational consultancy services over the internet and other related networks, empowering students with unique opportunities of accessing exam preparation materials with just a click on their phones, laptops and tablets. The School Aid app will be live as from February 2021, and students are encouraged to take advantage by visiting www.schoolaidapp.com for details. We now go on a break on Weekend File, details and more when we return.
JJ has always been my father's hero. So this year, I wanted to do something really special. If I could just talk to JJ, I'm sure he would remember Dad. Mom says never give up. Hello JJ, it's me Victor. My dad's birthday is coming up soon and I want to surprise him. And she was right. I have been looking for you everywhere. Please help me.
Hi Samuel, happy birthday, it's JJ. Happy birthday to my man.
My dad is my hero, but now JJ is too.
The best data plans in town. Find your first. Dial *777#.
Boss, good afternoon. Sorry, good morning. I beg, please, I need 5K. Now, emergency matter, I'll return it back next week. 5K? Next week, oh. I beg. Next week, I'll give it back. I don't want your story. Hello?
Bro,
what's in the apple?
I beg, I need 5K next week. Now only you feel help me.
Oh, yeah, come, now come, I dey shop.
Bros, how far now? How market? I know say next month you supposed to pay me those materials where I supply you last week. But the thing is, I need that 5K out of that money.
5K again?
I beg, I need.
Why everybody gonna ask me for 5K this early morning now? What's in the apple?
I beg.
Okay. First person 5K, second person 5K. 5K.
Uche. Bros, yeah. See, how far that 5K now?
I'm not gonna give you that money until you tell me what you want to do.
Now Zenith Bank, Zenith Bank, they give 30,000 naira worth of gift to 50 of them customers every week.
You don't mean it?
Not true. All you guys do now to open bank account, leave 5K for inside, go collect ATM card, go register for their mobile banking app, or star 966#. Easy banking. That's all.
50 people will win gifts worth 30,000 naira each every Friday from now to July 30, 2021. To qualify, simply open a Zenith Bank account. Fund your account with a minimum of 5,000 naira. Request and collect a Zenith Bank debit card, virtual or physical. Download and register on the Zenith Bank mobile app or register for star 966# easy banking. That's all it takes.
Help me look my shop. I don't think I last.
What the 5K now?
Zenith Bank, in your best interest.
This is the Wilson family last week. This is the Wilson family this week. What's changed? What? The Wilson family got maximum entertainment for less, and now they're closer than ever. Your family can be too.
How does this work?
With world-class international channels that put the quality back in your quality time.
That's what I'm talking about.
GoTV Max will bring you and your family closer in no time. So upgrade to GoTV Max for only 2,999 naira today. Make you enjoy. GoTV. Love it.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire.
Teacher yo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher yo mo, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Second, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We know happy at all.
Abi And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, shall. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, that's why I talk with that now. Not for me.
So you want me to drive me?
Not for me because of Pamio.
Thank you for staying with us. As the coronavirus continues to ravage the world, attention is now shifted to the vaccine against the virus. While some countries have begun vaccinating its citizens, Nigeria is not left behind, as it is now set to receive the first set of 100,000 doses of Pfizer vaccine, which will be handled by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency.
Coronavirus continues to ravage the world. Attention is now shifted to obtaining a vaccine against the virus. While some countries have begun vaccinating their citizens, Nigeria is not left behind, as it is now set to receive the first set of 100,000 doses of Pfizer-BioNTech's vaccine, which will be handled by the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. Considering the fragile nature of the COVID-19 vaccine, NPHCDA has a 2100 meters ultra-cold chain store located along Airport Road, Abuja, which operates under -70 to -80 degrees Celsius, which the agency says it is more than enough to store and keep the vaccine potent, with similar facility in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. While working on sharing formula for the vaccine across the country, the agency says it is also mindful of citizens' concern about the exigencies of the vaccine, and so it is working with other relevant agencies, especially NAFDAC, to certify the safety of the vaccine before it is administered on citizens. With more vaccines expected subsequently, about 70% of Nigerians are expected to be vaccinated within the first 2 years of its commencement. In Abuja, Salwa Khalil Ibrahim, NTA News.
Let's now begin our discussion on the program tonight with our first guest, Faisal Shuaib, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. You're welcome to Weekend File.
Good evening, viewers.
Lead us into the arrangements on ground ahead of arrival of the anticipated vaccine in terms of storage and distribution.
Right. So at this point, we have information from the COVAX facility that Nigeria will be getting up to 100,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine in February. But ahead of those shipments, we've already made sure that the ultra-cold chain equipment that is required to keep this vaccine in temperatures of -70 degrees Celsius are available in country. Just last week, we went around and showed journalists how we've already prepared this ultra-cold chain equipment. We're also working with the sub-national levels to make sure that once these vaccines are transported to the states and the local government areas, we'll be able to make sure that that transportation takes place in a way that ensures that the vaccines remain and retain their potency. So we're pretty much at a stage where we've ratcheted up all of the preparations towards making sure that, one, when the vaccines arrive, NAFDAC is able to access them and certify that these vaccines are safe. For us, that is the paramount consideration. No vaccines will be administered to Nigerians until and unless NAFDAC goes through the process of making sure that all of the documentation is right and it is contextualized within the Nigerian environment to say, yes, these vaccines are safe. then we will now roll out all of the activities that are required to make sure that we prioritize those people that are most at risk, those people that are most vulnerable to COVID-19 virus.
You mentioned about centers across states, right?
That's correct.
Do we have enough at the moment in terms of the centers at state level?
So right now what we've done is to identify health facilities across the states and the local government areas, particularly primary healthcare centers where we'll be delivering these vaccines. So from the national level to the sub-national level, as long as you're able to keep the vaccines with dry ice, then it's able to maintain that minus 70 degrees Celsius. Then when you get to the sub-national levels, you'll have to keep the vaccines in a temperature of +2 to +8. For the Pfizer vaccine for a period of 5 days. If you're able to do that, then the vaccine maintains that temperature. However, what we're getting is just 100,000 doses of the Pfizer vaccine. That's just like a drop in the ocean when it comes to our requirements in Nigeria. So federal government is not going to be investing too much on the ultra cold chain equipment, right? Instead, federal government over the course of the last few years has invested in freezers and refrigerators that are able to keep vaccines, our routine immunization vaccines, within +2 and +8. So the AstraZeneca type Oxford vaccine are the ones that we want to invest in because we already have the infrastructure all across the country to be able to store the vaccine. So in Nigeria, as I speak, almost every single political ward has one freezer that can keep these vaccines. We have the right equipment, solar direct freezers that can keep these vaccines at the right temperature. Only about 700 or so political wards do not have these types of equipment, and we're hopeful that if we keep installing them at the pace that we want to, hopefully by the end of this year we'll be able to finish installing so that in every single political ward we have the right equipment to be able to store routine immunization vaccines, including the COVID-19 vaccines, at +2 to +8 degrees Celsius.
But when are you expecting the arrival of the vaccine?
Well, the information that we're getting, and I keep updating the Nigerian populace on the information that we get from COVAX facility, is that the first 100,000 doses will be coming by February. Initially, they had mentioned that it was going to be in January, but just yesterday we got information that due to supply issues, due to manufacturing issues, they will not be able to meet the January date that had originally been communicated. Now it's looking more like February we'll get about 100,000 doses, and then subsequently we get larger doses of the vaccine.
Faisal Shuaibu, let's talk more after this piece of information. Conspiracy theories surrounding COVID-19 vaccines have continued to spread, clouding people's judgment due to fear of the unknown. Fatima Sanusi Karaya reports that religious leaders in Kano are taking different approach to educate people who are skeptical.
There's a bit of a conspiracy when we talk about this vaccine, because it's not your basic vaccine. I think I read something about a messenger RNA. Basically, I don't think I can take the vaccine.
24-year-old Adamu, whose work entails meeting with different caliber of people daily, stating his stand regarding COVID-19 vaccines. He is worried at the breakneck speed of the vaccine's clinical trials and subsequent authorization to be administered on humans. While Adamu is struggling, a number of people are sure and confident. The fear and being apprehensive of taking vaccines, experts believe, could be because of the perceived risks associated with immunization from ages past. But the danger of these infectious diseases are greater than that of the vaccines. Although the coronavirus vaccine trials happened within a short period, it underwent safety trials with research on cells and animals.
All the COVID-19 vaccines that have been manufactured, and we are expecting some to arrive in Nigeria, are both effective and safe.
However, here in Kano, religious leaders are taking a more targeted approach to to reach different segments of population, creating awareness and assuring people of the safety of the vaccines.
And people shouldn't be afraid because there is no government that would invite anything that would be to the detriment of the citizenry. I believe the prayer of the leadership of Nigeria is to see to the total well-being of her citizens.
Islam permits us, or rather obligate us, to take all major precautions and protections against the spreading pandemics, whatever it occurs.
For Adamu and his likes, to overcome this hesitancy could be a huge task ahead, as he believes his diligent use of protective measures will keep him safe. But how wrong could he be? In Kano, Fatima Sanusi Garai.
Let's find out one more thought from Faisal Shuaib. Tell us, how would you react to fears being publicly expressed by some notable Nigerians, including, of course, the governor of Kogi State, Yahaya Bello, and some religious leaders kicking against COVID-19 vaccination program?
Well, individuals can only promote their understanding of any situation. So you have to provide them with the right information and educate them so that they can move from a position of doubt to a position of acceptance. You might be aware that the Nigeria Governors Forum has come out very clearly to dissociate itself from the perspective of the governor of Kogi State. For us at the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency and the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, we understand that it is not enough for us to just offer the COVID-19 vaccines to all Nigerians. We have to work hard towards on making sure that we listen to Nigerians, understand what their concerns are, their skepticisms, and then provide them with alternative information, correct information about the vaccines. We are very sure that these vaccines are safe and that they're going to be effective, and we're beginning to see that people are coming around. We cannot dismiss the concerns of people because they are not doctors, they are not scientists, right? So they will ask questions. It is for us to provide them with those information because we are the ones that have the training to understand how vaccines work. So we must guide people instead of dismissing them. And this is what we're doing. So I'll give you an example. There's a political leader that started off by saying that we should not take the vaccines at all. He sent out a video. Now, there's another video from the same political leader where he's saying, well, we can take the vaccines as long as NAFDAC does all the checks. And it's only because the information is now available to such political leaders, and we'll continue to work very hard to make sure that we put the information out there so that Nigerians will understand. I know that Nigerians are very rational, and this is why we're beginning to see that Nigerians are coming around. As long as we fulfill all of the criteria, we show evidence that these vaccines are safe. So, for example, Mr. President, the Vice President, strategic leaders will come out publicly to exhibit the safety of the vaccines by taking the vaccines. I think all of those sentiments, all of those demonstrations of confidence in the vaccine is exactly what we need to turn Nigerians, to become in favor, especially those ones that are a little bit skeptical about the safety of the vaccines.
Well, we thank you for coming on Weekend File tonight. We also wish you good luck.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming. We'll be speaking with Faisal Shuaib, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer, National Primary Healthcare Development Agency. This is Weekend File on the NTA. Let's go on another break.
Mimi, where's your mommy?
A major part of being a parent is being present. I struck out,
and the winner is Mimi Idris.
Stay in the picture and be the parent you want to be. Call 0700 AXA Mansard today to speak to an AXA financial advisor.
yesterday, every day.
Nestle, good food, good life.
Nigerian youths are about the greatest assets the country has at the moment. It is therefore not surprising that the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari is strategically responding to the yearnings of the youth through multiple projects and programs. Youth entrepreneurship support years by Bank of Industry, the Youth Investment Fund by the CBN, and several other conditional cash transfer programs. Recruitment of 774,000 social workers, majority of whom are youths, and so many other projects that are beneficial to youths directly or indirectly. If the administration can do all this, definitely with a degree of patience and time, it can achieve more. Nigerian youths must come together to say no to terrorism, no to vandalism, and no to all disruptive tendencies. Hashtag Youth for Greater Nigeria. Pacifying the youths, unifying the nation.
Welcome back. As Nigeria awaits delivery of its share of the vaccine, Hingino John Adams tells us how Lagos is preparing for it.
Life is no more the same as people have adapted to the new normal occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic. For almost a year now, Nigeria has made arrangements to receive its share. Despite controversies surrounding the vaccine, government has assured that it will only be administered to citizens after it has been certified safe by relevant regulators.
The safety of COVID vaccine is premium to NAFDAC. This is why active pharmacovigilance is being used.
Lagos has maintained its position of the epicenter of the virus. With the increasing cases, how are Lagosians reacting to the news of the vaccine?
If it's real for this virus now, we will take it now.
I will first of all see the person that have already taken it before using it.
The state government is also working out modalities with regards to the vaccine.
Now, a lot more communication has gone into it. A lot more information, has gone into it.
If the vaccine is certified safe for use, medical experts say the virus will be contained. In Lagos, Hingino John Adams, NTA News.
Time now to introduce our second guest on Weekend File tonight, Dr. John Abwidie, Executive Director, Integrative Medicine, neurotoxicologist. Of course, that is practice. Of course, he is of In-Country Medicare Limited. Dr. Abwidie, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure.
Let's quickly get your thoughts on the general, perception of COVID-19 vaccination and indeed Nigeria's preparation for its arrival.
Yeah, fantastic. I would like to start off by actually tell what is a vaccine. A vaccine is an antigen. What is an antigen? An antigen is any foreign body that when it enters the body cells, the body recognizes it as foreign and then developed antibodies against it. So by this way, you can also say the COVID-19, that is the SARS-CoV-2, is also an antigen. So it works on similar principles. The only difference is that in the case of vaccine, it is safer in eliciting or bringing about immune system against the disease. But the virus, once it gets into the body, it causes a lot of destruction that cases. That's why. But for people who are able to survive from the virus attack, you see that they develop antibodies against the disease. Just like a vaccine will also give us antibodies against, the disease. Having said that, the vaccine is actually developed over a course of years. And this will take me to the first one. People are saying, oh, why is this vaccine so short? Yes, let me clarify it. The COVID-19 vaccine, especially the mRNA vaccine type that is produced by Moderna and Pfizer, the research for these vaccines have been going on for decades, especially they were being targeted against, cancer. So it's not that it came overnight and then it shortened this thing. So how does, I would like to focus on the mRNA vaccine, which is produced by both Pfizer and then, the Moderna. What is an mRNA vaccine? The mRNA vaccines is actually produced from a part of the virus known as the spike protein. They've taken that composition and have extracted RNA, that is ribonucleic acid, which contains, the genetic, information for it. Now, once this is extracted and injected into the body now reacts producing antibodies, against the spike protein. It is also different. At this point, it is also important to know that different types of, vaccines. The natural one is the one we used to call attenuated, where the whole virus will be attenuated, that is to say that its virogenicity, the virulence, will be reduced and then given into the body. Actually, this is better than, vaccines, but the only disadvantage, as I said earlier, a live virus, when it gets into the body, if the immune system is not strong, it will kill. So, we said the natural vaccine is there, but this one is mRNA. And I would like to also state up front here, it is wrong to say that these vaccines will make us turn us into zombies, take us turn into any kind of thing. It has so many disadvantages. There are several reasons why people will refuse to take vaccines. One is that it has been developed over too short a time. Two is that it has some side effects. Three is that it causes injury to the muscles. Usually you inject the vaccines at what we call the deltoid muscles on our arm. So it causes that. You have some local reactions there in terms of pain. But what is happening once the mRNA molecule gets into the cell? Understand this very well. The cell has two components. You have what we call the cytosolic component, where protein synthesis actually occurs, and then you have the nucleus component of the cell. So the vaccine does not even go into the nucleus. That is the nucleus that harbors the genome. That is the genetic material that can transform you. That's where it is in the nucleus. Once the vaccine comes in, it stays in the cytoplasm outside. That is why the multiplication and then, production of more spikes, proteins that are now presented for antibody, production. So there is just no way that you can tell me that the vaccine will cause genomic. No, it has nothing to do with the genome. It stays basically in the cytoplasm. And the synthesis of the spike proteins occurs on the ribosomes. That is why it actually occurs. And then it is presented via what you call the antigen presenting cells. Those are the macrophages that goes into the details to go into. You see, immune system has two arms. You have the innate arm of the immune system, and then you have the adaptive arm of the system. So when the vaccine finishes on stimulating, trying to produce a defense against the body in the innate arm, then it goes into the adaptive arm, which is involves the production of antibodies. What do antibodies do? Antibodies simply, since it is spike protein, and I'm sure by now we're familiar with the structure of the virus. It has those spikes. That is why it is called, corona. So the spike hooked onto our cells via receptors. That is what we call the ACE2 receptors, angiotensin converting enzyme receptors number 2.
All right, Dr. Tor Abwidia, if we understand you perfectly well tonight on Weekend File, you are more of in support of boosting of the immune system. And and not tackling coronavirus by the vaccination? Because Nigerians are watching. We are anticipating the arrival of COVID-19 vaccine, which, of course, countries have shown interest and commitment towards its arrival and usage. That's the vaccination program. Now, Nigerians would like to find out from you tonight, as a neurotoxicologist, what really are you preaching to Nigerians in the face of COVID-19 vaccine, which is about to arrive our country?
Okay. Thank you very much for that question. What I'm saying is I've explained the mechanisms of how the vaccines, function. One of the difficulties that we're having, you have people now going campaigning against the vaccination. And that's why I expect one of the reasons they get that the vaccine will turn us into zombies. And I'm telling you that mechanistically, there is no way it can turn us into zombies. So vaccines are actually safe as far as I'm concerned, and they should be encouraged. I have tried to compare, the Moderna and then the Pfizer, vaccines to give, their merits, the merit for each one of them. And apart from the problem of, storage that you have, especially with the Pfizer BioNTech, vaccine, which must be stored at a temperature of minus 70 degrees, centigrade. Other than that, the Moderna vaccine goes with, 20 degrees, centigrade. There is what we also call the viability. After this cold chain, the Moderna vaccine is capable of staying in our fridge, the ordinary fridge, for 30 days. Why the Pfizer vaccines can stay only for 5 days? That is a limitation. But if you look at the safety about all that we are saying, vaccines are pretty safe. I know of group and I even participate in some of them, but my role there is to educate them, that let them not just turn to the swing of calling vaccines this. Now that's why I compared vaccine with the virus. All of them, the bottom line is to elicit the immune system to protect us against the disease. Vaccines, objective of producing vaccine is in terms of number one, that is the efficacy. You are saying that how is this vaccine capable of protecting us against the risk of coming down with the disease? And then we're also looking at when you come down with the disease, or if you come down with the disease, but if you're already vaccinated, the vaccine, because it has produced immune system, the chances that you will progress rapidly to a point of intensive care unit is there. By the way, I was just talking to a friend who has come to our center and they received, immune boosting. And he confided into me that, doctor, I came down with COVID-19. But I believe because of the immune boosters that I received at your center, I made it. It was just some minor signs or symptoms that were manifested, and I recovered fine and well. So what I'm saying is this: regardless of whatever reasons, for fears that are being, expressed, after all, vaccines have been on for so many decades. Exactly. They've been used to control most of the epidemics, that we have in this history. So as far as I'm concerned, but anyway, the bottom line is that everybody has their own, right of, choice. I would not necessarily, force people, but educate them. Most of these things is out of ignorance. People don't know. So they can, and then people who know, some of them take advantage of their own knowledge. And there is politics involved, there's economic war involved, so a lot of things are involved. So they can come up with any reasons to defy people, to convince you that don't take vaccines.
Well, as an expert, what's your inputs or advice as we await the arrival of a COVID-19 vaccine?
Well, we're going to be realistic here. We talk about arrival. We just had, the executive secretary, and it is all in the papers all over. We're expecting 100,000, doses of, the Moderna, vaccines, and that vaccine is actually given in 2 doses. So invariably, it's going to cover only 50,000, people. So we have to be prepared, because there is what we call vaccine break. If you don't keep to the manufacturer's guidelines in terms of storage and when you should use it, you will just be injecting something that no longer has the potency. So we should be really prepared in terms of refrigerators. The storage conditions must be right. And there is no doubt in Nigeria, for one, we have challenges. I'm just hoping that whoever is entrusted with that responsibility, we've worked really hard to overcome these, challenges. If not, we would have a long way to go.
Thank you for coming on Weekend File tonight.
It's my pleasure.
We've been discussing with Dr. John Tor Abwidie, a neurotoxicologist practicing in integrative medicine. As part of efforts to ensure that table tennis players in the 2021 National Sports Festival have a great feel of the games, a table tennis tournament was recently organized to test run the facility at the renovated indoor table tennis hall of the Samuel Obomudia Stadium in Benin. Peter Oibo takes a look at the table tennis facility as we count down to the fiesta scheduled to kick off on the 14th of next month.
In December 2020, this cross-section of sportsmen and women from Edo State took advantage of this table tennis tournament at the ultra-modern indoor sports hall of the Samuel Ogbemudia Stadium to showcase their talent on the game. The table tennis match provides youth in the state an opportunity to test run the facility and improve their skills in preparation for the forthcoming National Sports Festival. To the state government, the tournament was to showcase the ultra-modern facilities on ground at the indoor hall to the outside world and also gave sports lovers and scouts a platform to harness talent that will represent the state in the future events.
The facility and accommodation and equipment team are moving around. NOC and NOC will jointly again go around the facility to be sure that they are ready.
These sports enthusiasts in Benin believe that the ultra-modern indoor sports hall at the stadium will help improving the skills of Edo athletes while using it to train ahead of the National Sports Fiesta.
Edo State is ready to receive all the contingents.
In Benin, Peter Oibo, NTA News.
Gift George will now bring us sports update.
In the Nigerian Professional Football League match, transmitted live on the network service of the NTA on Saturday, Katsina United and Plateau United played a goalless draw. In the CAF Confederations Cup, Rivers United beat Bloemfontein Celtic of South Africa by 3-0 in the second leg of the encounter to qualify for the next stage of the competition. In the English FA Cup, some of the matches played on Saturday in the fourth round. Southampton beat defending champions Arsenal by 1-0. Brighton defeated Blackpool 2-1. Barnsley edged Norwich by 1-0. While Swansea trashed Nottingham Forest by 5-1, amongst other results. The Nigerian Basketball Federation says it is having talks with sponsors of the domestic league with a view of starting the 2021 league season. President of the Federation, Amadou Musa Kida, confirmed that contacts have been made with its stakeholders and various clubs so as to formalize the protocols for the commencement of domestic basketball activities, which he assured will be in line with the Presidential Task Force on COVID-19 directives. He, however, appealed for amicable resolution of the court case that has affected the staging of the Men's Premier Basketball League in the last 3 years.
They withdraw it from the court and then they allow us to be able to play basketball at the level of the Premier League.
In table tennis, Nigeria's duo of Aruna Quadri and Jide Omotayo have been listed among top African table tennis stars for the forthcoming World Table Tennis Tournament slated for Doha, Qatar from March 7 to 13. Aruna, who is the highest ranked African player, will join the world stars in the main draw, while Jide Omotayo will start with the qualifiers from February 28 to March 2nd. From Ado Ekiti, Ayodeji Ogunshake reports that a 3-day junior tennis tournament has ended in Ado Ekiti. The competition, which took place in the state capital, featured players in the under-14 and under-16 categories for boys and girls.
We have a lot of tournaments here in Ekiti.
Through my training, if I'm playing this kind of tournament.
It was aimed at discovering new talent in the game. With sports updates, Gift George, NTA News.
The Sheikh of Dikwa, Alhaji Mohammed Ibn Mastar II El Kanemi, has passed on. Meanwhile, President Muhammad Buhari has expressed heartfelt condolences to the government and the people of Borno State on the death of Emir of Dikwa, Sheikh Abba Mastar II, the second highest ranking traditional ruler in Borno Kingdom. In a condolence message to the Sheikh of Borno, Abubakar Ibn Umar Garbai El Kanemi, the government and people of Borno State, President Buhari notes that the contributions of the late Emir of Dikwa to unity, harmony and peaceful coexistence in the country were remarkable, and Nigeria will miss his services. Now, a quick check on tomorrow's weather. That wouldn't be coming on Weekend File tonight, but then that's where we'll wrap it up on the show. My name is Kenan Ima Abolike. Many thanks to you for being our guest. Bye-bye.
Abuja, the place that unites Nigeria.
Hello and welcome. It's time for another interesting package of
everything music.
Angelina, you dey cool in my temperature. If you call, I go come deliver.
This is talking movies.
In times of old, the world was full of wonder.
No! Welcoming you to your weekend for today.
Arise, O compatriots. It's time to use our voice.
Beyond 6 packs.
Bills.
Pay the bills. Keep paying the telephone bills.
gallery.
Me and my paddies.
London for what?
London for medicine.
Medicine for what?
Medicine for coffee.
Are you sickness?
To our illness.
Welcome to Gist Zone.
All right, my name is the Eselucien Wego One. Ona nyokoko nyonyo.
This is the network service of the NTA.
I bring you wonderful news. The village headmaster is coming back to your screen. Mo wire abi mi o wire.
Teacher ló mọ̀, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Teacher jọ̀wọ́, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé.
Ajebo na better school for last gidi. Not be all this on a rugged yes school for Ijabi. I don't know for you.
Sega, it's called Oja Village. Kadesi. We no happy at all at all.
And I know that even you too, you are getting a lot of orders too. Hey, we are trying, Shao. Sweep her leg out. She was standing there. Sweep it.
I love you so much.
And how did I give you the impression that I was interested in that position?
50-year anniversary.
You mean anniversary?
I mean, that is why I talk with that now. Not for me. You want me to die? Not for me because of Pamio.
Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé. Ọbẹ̀ rẹ̀ sì ta sánsán. Àṣàkẹ́ Àlàkẹ́. Ọmọ onírẹsì ti dé. Tíṣà jọ̀wọ́, a fẹ́ lọ wá nǹkan jẹ. Ọgbà sọ ẹni tó gbọ́ ẹni ṣọ́ kọ́ àti ṣe bí ayé ṣàrí. Ọyọ́ ṣe bí ìdàbẹ̀ nínú àbídàbò náà. Ayé lọ rí nǹkan. Ọgbà sọ, you know I'm on fire, no be peace talk. Ọgbà sọ, you know ẹni tó dúró àná òkú ẹ̀bọ̀rà abọ́lá ṣe.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
Do you know that 35% of every girl child and women are raped on a daily basis? Some are killed in the process, some take their lives in shame, others remain emotionally dead for life. It is sad. This culture is not ours, definitely not African. How did we allow bad culture to infiltrate and take over? Even if you lack fear for the law, what of fear of God? And you, why do you cover up rape acts when it happens? Remember, a problem shared is a problem half solved. Never cover any rape act because a rapist is a murderer. It could be you or your loved ones next. Women must be treated like the prize gem they are. Say no to rape.
The Federal Roads Maintenance Agency was established to ensure timely and effective maintenance of the nation's federal road network. In this informative and educational weekly update, we show you the great strides the agency is making in carrying out its mandate of monitoring and maintaining federal roads. Welcome to Eye on the Road, brought to you by FEMA. Road maintenance works carried out by FEMA are either done through contract or by direct labor, which entails the agency deploying its machinery and technical capabilities of staff. Direct labor work has been completed along the Guso, Kauranamoda, Shinkafi, Sokoto southbound road in Zamfara State by the Federal Roads Maintenance Agency. The agency has worked along several sections of this road, including construction of reinforced concrete line drain, pavement strengthening, laterite filling, priming and overlay as part of shoulders reinstatement, as well as construction of a 290-meter line drain at Tasharawaya, 110-meter overlay and shoulders reinstatement, 60-meter retaining wall and embankment reinstatement, and 200-meter shoulder reinstatement. This most recent work covered patching of potholes and strengthening distressed sections along a cumulative of 700 meters along the carriageway. The pothole patching was in two categories. One category covered patching of potholes less than 50 millimeters, while other potholes 50 millimeters to 200 millimeters deep were patched with stone base, primed and overlaid with asphalt.
gaskiya babu abin da za mu ce mu dai ille bayan sai dai godiya da Allah san barka saboda gaskiya mun lamari ni mai yawacin daga kauran namu da zuwa goso ne amma alhakikanin gaskiya manyan ramun ga suna damu mu amma Allah da iko ne da yarda ta gashe yanzu cikin dan kankanan lokaci Allah ya yarda da yarda ta wannan kamfani mai albarka mai tarin albarka ya biya gyara muna manyan ramun nan kuma muna tafiya sosai kuma muna jin daɗin tafiya a motar mu gwalgwado irin yadda ya kamata.
Muna jin daɗin gyaran hanyar da aka yi musamman ma in ka duba da shinkahai zuwa ƙaura da an karga an ka gama. Gaskiya mun ji sauƙi sosai mu direbobi da dama. Dan yanzu haka muna sa taya yanzu ta daɗe muna sosai. Sabanin kwanan baya da za mu bugun rami mota ta faɗi ta mutu. Insha Allah.
To gaskiya mun ji daɗi 100% kuma Allah ka taimaka mana. Mun ji daɗi 100%. Masu babura da motoci Allah ubangiji shi tsare mu shi kare mu kuma Allah shi taimaka mana.
Ji daɗi ga wanga kokari da kuke yi. Allah ya saka muku da alheri don saboda hanyoyin da gyara sun yi in ana gyara su abubuwan sun ci gaba. Allah ya taimaka. Muna kira ga jama'a a dora duba a hankali saboda al'amura duk yadda aka gani su akan hanya. A tsaya a zanki lura ana dan taimaka mana ga irin wanga ayyuka.
Wannan abu ya yi kyau sosai wallahi mun ji daɗin wannan hanya sosai.
Gaskiya wannan hanya an yi gyara mai kyau kuma gaskiya an samu cigaba sosai. Sannan kuma gaskiya mutane yankin da karamin wadda abin da yake har zuwa kusa zuwa amfani da wannan titi. Sannan kuma gaskiya ana kokari kwarai gaske ta kula da ainihin wannan titi inda ya lalace ana gyara ne. Haka kuma muna fata insha Allah za a samu cigaba da ainihin kula da wannan titi.
The road connects 3 states, Zamfara, Sokoto and Katsina, as well as Jibia, Niger Republic border. It is a major route to Kasuwa Daji International Grains and Livestock Market in Zamfara State. Grains and livestock from these markets are distributed far into adjoining states and some neighboring countries. The Minchi Anka Gumi Kebbi southbound road is the shortest route that connects Zamfara, Kebbi and some parts of Sokoto state. It is the main route for the movement of agricultural products. Direct labor was also used for the general maintenance along the road. Scope of work covered patching of potholes and repairs of distressed sections, covering a cumulative 600 meters.
Alhamdulillah, hanya ta yi mun ji daɗi gaskiya. Saboda shekaran jiya na wuce kamun a fara wannan gyaran gaskiya ban ji daɗi na taɓa gwara mu yanzu kuma ina zuwa can na ga an fara gyaran tun daga can na fara jin daɗi na ga gyara ya yi gaskiya alhamdulillah. To kiran da zai masu tuƙin mota in sun zo wurin da bai ya lalace sai a lallaba in kuma an zo an tarar da masu gyara tun daga nesa sun sa alama sai mutum ya rage.
They should continue to do it because the road is almost at the damages point. But if they can continue, we pray that God will be with them. They should do it well. Fema, yeah, you are doing a great job. May Almighty Allah continue to assist them.
Alhamdulillah, abin da ya bi haka gaskiya an ji daɗi an gode. Alhamdulillah. Aikin na ga yayi kyau gaskiya wallahi.
To Allah shi masu albarka. Ubangiji Allah sa a gama lahiya. Allah shi taimaka. Allah shi taimaka. Allah shi bada sa. Wallahi ita muke da matsala gare ta don saboda mu a cikin anka. Ita muke da matsalar ta wallahi. Insha Allah.
Repairs will reduce the travel by more than an hour for those going to Kebbi or Niger State. A major component in road construction and maintenance is asphalt. Recognizing the importance of always having asphalt readily available for its repair works, FEMA has asphalt plants of 80 tons per hour capacity strategically located across the nation. An asphalt plant is a plant used for the manufacture of asphalt, macadam, and other forms of coated roadstone, sometimes collectively known as blacktop or asphalt concrete. The agency has been refurbishing its asphalt plants with a view to ensuring a steady supply of asphalt for its roadworks. It also serves as a worthwhile venture not only for the agency, but the nation at large. The asphalt plants in Osun, Katsina and the FCT have been refurbished and are currently on stream. The plant in Gombe State has been inspected by the managing director himself with a view to bringing that plant online as soon as possible.
There are 7 asphalt plants across the country, 1 for each zone and 2 in the southwest zone. So, virtually all of them were in a non-functioning state at the time of my assumption, which was towards the end of 2017. And so far, we gradually have gotten about 4 of them back to working condition. We were able to restart the one in Fontua, which is serving the northwest, and the one in Oshogbo, which is serving a substantial part of the southwest. We have a functioning asphalt plant in Lagos, and there are 4 other asphalt plants that are in different stages of repairs and refiring. These asphalt plants help us in no small measure to ensure that our roadworks are backed up by adequate supply of bitumen and asphalt, and get us independent of other sources of asphalt that has saved us a lot in terms of logistics and in terms of costs.
With these asphalt plants, FEMA can not only meet its road maintenance needs, but can also service construction requirements where the plants are located. Contractors are able to breathe a sigh of relief as the quality of asphalt meets the required standards at all times. As the year 2020 drew to a close, the agency successfully carried out the supply and installation of solar street lights in Calabar South and Odukpani local government areas of Cross River State. Youths of the communities were trained in the installation and maintenance of solar street lights. Following the success of this project, the program was expanded to youths from the 5 local government areas of the South Senatorial District of the state as part of FEMA's contribution to the Youth Empowerment Program of the federal government. With this training, more jobs are being created. Training included topics such as solar charging control, as well as series and parallel charging system, as part of the 5-day technical training on installation and maintenance of solar street lights and inverters.
It's a welcome development, first of its kind. We've not seen this before. So for us, we understand the prospect of this kind of training, and we are not joking with it. You know, it's a life skill, giving us a career in this direction. And in terms of organization, it is well organized. For refreshment, we are comfortable. You know, then the resource persons, they are very good. You know, if you look at the value of the training, very expensive.
First of all, I want to thank the Almighty God for this day and for this great privilege to be a participant of this great program. You know, the program, we personally, I really enjoy the program. I like the program. I think with this, the youth will not complain, and it's an opportunity for us to go out there and take over the world and make something great and needful for ourselves.
Train us as we are doing solar, install solar for person house and street lights. The training is good for us. We can establish our own to do for ourselves. So we thank God for it.
The training is so important, very, very important to our life, because this is one of the aspects of life that we want our leaders to do to us, because this aspect of an adage which says, I will not give you fish, but show you how to catch fish, so that it will be better for the people tomorrow. So by God, by our side, if we succinctly take the training, very important, and know what to do about it, it will definitely prosper the state and our local government and our people at home.
The welcome development, we from the Central District, we are happy that this kind of program is being organized in our Central District in order to empower the youth. It's a kind of things that we've been expecting from them. But it's going to help me as a person to improve in the area of solar maintenance and installation. Prior to this, I've not had any idea about installation and maintenance of solar system and all of that. But through this training, I've been able to learn a lot of things about installation of solar panel and all of that.
As with any training done by FEMA, there was practical training on the installation of the solar lights and some practical aspects of road maintenance.
tọ́lẹ̀ wà tẹ́lẹ̀ wà very very bad kò dáa rárá because ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ mọ́tò ló máa ń táyà máa ń fọ́ mbẹ̀ tó dẹ̀ máa ń cause accident ńgbà míì gan. A dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba àpapọ̀ pẹ̀lú bẹ́ẹ̀ bá ní ṣe àwọn ọ̀nà yìí a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ wọn gan kọ́lọ́ túbọ̀ máa bá ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́.
ọ̀nà yìí ó burú débi pé a lè gbàgbẹ́ mọ́ kálukú máa ń wá ọ̀nà àti gba bòmíì lọ ni tàbí kí wọ́n drop mọ́tò wọn sílé kó tó di pé wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí bá wa ṣe báyìí ó da báyìí ó ṣe é rìn báyìí dáadáa tí wọ́n bá ti bá wa parí ẹ̀ ń sìn inú wọn dùn gan ayọ̀ wọn kún pàápàá.
sẹ́fẹ̀ yín ṣe lè ṣe báyìí kódà ó wá da báyìí ọlọ́run sì máa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ gbogbo tí wọ́n ṣe ọlọ́run máa ràn wọ́n lọ́wọ́ kódà ọlọ́run máa fún ìjọba àtàwọn àṣẹ ẹ̀pọ̀n gan gbogbo sẹ́wọ̀n bó máa tẹ̀síwájú gbogbo ọlọ́run.
The Bauchi-Ningi Road in Bauchi State links the state to Jigawa, Kano and other northern states of Nigeria. The road was impacted by adverse weather conditions, resulting in erosion of the embankment. Emergency repairs were done to prevent a complete cut-off of the road by direct labor. The agency carried out palliative works using boulders to fill the failed portions to stop further deterioration of the embankment. The Zadawa Sabun Sara Gyade Road is an F road of about 30 kilometers in length and 3 meters in width. It takes its origin from Zadawa off Azare Miso Road in Bauchi State. The road had a few box culverts which also needed to be upgraded. A competent contractor was selected for the rehabilitation and upgrading of 1.5 kilometers of the road. Scope of work covered site clearing and grading of existing track road, provision of laterite filling, provision of laterite base course material, provision of first coat surface dressing, and provision of 65mm length of line drain. Now that the road has been upgraded, movement of goods and services, especially farm products, can now be done with ease, thereby improving the economic well-being of residents along this corridor. We look forward to hearing from you. Let's continue the conversation on road maintenance and the activities of FEMA online. You can send us your questions and comments to any of our online platforms. Twitter @FedRoadsNGR, email info@fema.gov.ng, Facebook fema.gov.ng, and website www.fema.gov.ng. Or you can telephone 0813 403 9857 or WhatsApp 0818 199 4447. We'll be back next week with more insights into the road maintenance activities of FEMA.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, You can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop, or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
You will have to jump off a cliff just knowing that you will not crash. Let me tell you, everybody has their baggage and everybody has their demon. So you might as well deal with your own demon and everything will work out fine. If you're not in control of your emotions will be in control of you. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Emotions with O Menasa. This is a show where I encourage you and I enlighten you and I remind you that if you are not in control of your emotions will be in control of you. So we're going to tackle that today. Our topic today is the preservation of your mental health, preservation of your mental mind, okay, your mental state of being. A lot of people seem to have this notion that anyone who is mad, which is not a word that we are supposed to use in the first place, they just assume that something is very, very wrong with them. Okay, well, my guest here today will tell you that all of us have the propensity to move to the other side. Yes, that other side where you're on the streets, that other side where like you're struck with bipolar or schizophrenia or whatever. Why? Because the mental state of being is determined by how we can cope or our inability to cope. So if you're coping well and if you know how to cope, then we wouldn't have those issues. But if you don't know how to cope, yes, there will be a very, very high propensity to move to the other side. Okay, so now what are some of the things that can get us to the other side? Well, if you're not sleeping well, if you don't know how to handle the pressures of life well, if you don't have a sense of community, if you don't have anybody to talk to, if you are not eating right, your diet has a lot to also do with your mental state of mind. And the habits that you form to cope. Are you doing alcohol? Are you doing drugs? Are you drinking too much? Are you having illicit sex and making all kinds of bad decisions to hide your pain? Rather than doing that, just talk to somebody. Talk to a psychologist, talk to a psychiatrist. Have a higher power that you are connected to. But being very, very attentive to yourself. Now, for me, what kept my mental state when I had a miscarriage, when I lost my mom, and just in life in general, the way that I have handled problems is I listen. I listen a lot to myself. Listen to what your body is telling you when you are angry. Listen to what your mind is telling you when you are upset. When you don't sleep, actually observe what is going on with you at work. Are you lashing out at everybody, and your fuse is so short because you didn't get enough sleep? When you just keep on going and just keep on going and just keep on going without pampering yourself, without showing yourself self-care, you will snap. You will snap. And it's already bad enough that some of us and some people already have the prolificity to snap because they had a parent or a relative who had like bipolar or who had mental health issues, So can you just imagine having to deal with life on its own, and then you also having the propensity to snap because of who you were born by or where you were born to or where you found yourself. So I will encourage you. What worked for me was that I spoke to a psychologist for 2 solid years. I was very, very consistent. Now I don't go all the time, but at least once a month, I make sure that I see a psychologist or a psychiatrist, and I make sure that I know, or I share all my worries, I share all of my cares, I share everything to this person, and they help me align myself. They help me balance myself. Basically, what makes us snap is the inability to balance life. You know, especially for busy people. If you are in school, if you are working, you have children, you are married, you own a business, you're doing so much. I am telling you, if you are not taking care of your well-being, of your mind, if you are not sleeping, if you are not drinking water, if you're not handling situations the way that you're supposed to handle them, rather than screaming or shouting, because once again, you are screaming and shouting for 2 reasons. One, you're screaming and shouting for the misinterpretation of whatever is going on because you misunderstood it. 2, you are screaming and shouting because you are tired. You are tired. Now, you may not be physically tired to where like you feel dizzy or you feel sleepy, but you could be emotionally and mentally tired. You could be very, very drained. You could be drained. So you don't have any energy to tackle a situation the way that you're supposed to tackle it. And so now you are screaming and you're shouting and all of that. And then that also, like, it kind of attacks you too. Because when you're agitated and when you're angry, all of that goes into your tissue. When you are bitter and when you're angry, all of that goes into your tissue. It switches and it changes your hormonal levels. And then we have a case on our hands. You know, then we now start to deal with headaches and cancers and all kinds of illnesses, which is what we actually call psychosomatic illnesses. A psychosomatic illness is an illness that is coming from something that is emotional. You are depressed, or you did not take care of something in your life. You did not take care of an incident and you did not handle it well. You are probably suffering from rejection or from low self-esteem, or you're probably going through something at work and you're not talking to anybody. And most of all, you're not talking to yourself. Then you start getting sick. Then you start having a headache, and then you start noticing that you're not using the bathroom as much as you should, or as often as you should, or as frequent as you should. You could be dealing with constipation, or you could be dealing with diarrhea. All of these things are mental. Now, I did not say that all illnesses are mental, no. But when you don't take care of your emotional life, when you don't take up steps to being a sound and whole person, you will get sick. You will invite sickness into your life, especially headaches and arthritis and bone pain and muscle pain and all of that. So if we learn to talk to ourselves, if we learn to have a conversation with ourselves and tell ourselves the truth, this is what I am going through, this is how I feel. You pick up the phone and you talk to somebody in love. Hey, I really didn't like how you spoke on that day. If you are getting your 8 hours of sleep, if you're drinking water and not putting poison into your system, if you are tackling issues well and properly, and most of all, if you are giving to people, and I'm not saying giving to the point of detriment, I'm not even saying like giving money or whatever, but you could go teach in a school, you could give people clothes, you could. The key is to be consistent and intentional in everything that you're doing. That's the key. Being consistent and intentional in everything that you are doing. First of all, being intentional, loving and giving and smiling and doing all of these things to yourself, to yourself. It's not just giving out to everybody, giving out to your kids and giving out at work and completely dispensing your energy out there. No, you also preserve some for yourself. You pamper yourself and you love yourself. And when you love yourself, then you eat right. When you love yourself, then you sleep right. When you love yourself, then you say no. When you love yourself, then you contact your higher power. When you love yourself, then you pick up the phone and you call those that you are supposed to call. And then also you would also be consistent because you can see that it's actually working. Thank you so much. Welcome back. So I am with my guest now, Dr. Moturayo, and she is going to expand on this topic of preservation of your mind, of your health, of your mental health. So thank you so much, Dr. Moturayo, for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
I am so grateful. Mental health is such a stigma in our society, and I really don't want to talk much on psychological terms and and bipolar and schizophrenia and all of that, which we may talk about, but I really want to focus on just everyday life and how the little things in our lives can really make us tick, being at work or probably being in a society that is so judgmental, what that can do on our emotions, what marriages can do on the mind or in the mind of people, family responsibilities, even the weather. And so that's really what I want us to focus on today. Can you please shed light on how we can be mentally whole and mentally stable?
Okay, so I'm going to approach this based on the definition of what mental health itself
Okay.
is. So mental health talks about a state of well-being in which an individual realizes his or her abilities. You're able to cope with the challenges around you, like work-life balance. You're able to also realize your potentials, and you're able to make meaningful contributions to your community. In a bid for us to live, we take on a lot of things, just like you said. So I would say work-life balance can be hard for a lot of people. Every day you have to wake up early, get to work. If you're a student, you have to go to school. Even little children tend to cope with a lot of things. We are inundated with a lot of information from the internet. So it's really important that, just like you said, we need to preserve ourselves. And some of the ways in which we need to preserve ourselves include getting adequate sleep. These days, we spend so much time doing a lot of things and we get to sleep very late. An adult requires about 8 to 9 hours of sleep per night. Some people say between 7 and 9. So getting to that frame of getting adequate sleep is so important, because lack of sleep or inadequate sleep can just tilt you to the other side. Also, maintaining good physical health, because there's also a link between stress, physical illnesses, as well as mental well-being. A lot of illnesses can actually affect someone's well-being. For instance, if you're in a lot of pain, if you have even diagnosable disorders, someone with cancer, someone with diabetes, hypertension, all these things have a propensity to affect one's mental health. So we also need to take care of physical health. Faith also comes into place. Before now, people thought if you're into psychology or even psychiatry, there's no place or area
for God.
So whatever people believe in, that sense that somebody else, you can reach out to something to assist you and support you in coping with life, also helps a lot to keep us in a good state of health. I won't forget nutrition. Eating good food, balanced meals, reducing junk, getting the right nutrients in the right amount and not overfeeding also helps us to keep fit and to be in a good state of preserve our well-being. Now, we are faced with a lot of troubles day in, day out. Sometimes it's even work issues. Sometimes it's marital problems. At times, you just go through certain things that you don't really understand. So having a confidant or someone you can reach out to or talk to is also very important. A lot of people also downplay social connectedness.
Yes.
So you live your life in isolation. And it's interesting, we hear this every day, that the world is getting more connected on internet, but it appears as if we're even moving farther away from ourselves. We go out to eat, but everyone is pressing his or her phone.
Yeah.
Even husbands and wives, kids in the families. You get there, there's the TV playing, but